My beloved child, pause for a moment. What you are doing right now is not random. This interruption is not accidental. The rhythm of your daily routine has just been pierced by a divine signal, and I need you to understand this clearly from the very first second. Heaven did not send this message to entertain you. Heaven sent this because time has become sensitive, and something critical is unfolding behind your back while you are still unaware. Listen carefully. Archangel Michael has stepped forward with authority, not gently, not quietly, but with urgency. He says your routine was keeping you comfortable, but comfort was slowly blinding you. The enemy loves routine because routine numbs discernment. And that is exactly why this message had to interrupt you now. There is movement happening in the spiritual realm concerning your name. Conversations you were not invited into. Decisions being weighed that affect your house, your stability, your future steps. You sensed it recently, didn't you? That strained you pressure, that unexplained heaviness, that feeling that something is off but you couldn't explain it. This is confirmation. Archangel Michael says, you still have a few minutes left. Not to panic, not to fear, but to respond. This is a narrow window of awareness, a divine pause before events lock into place. Heaven is giving you access before outcomes become permanent. That is why this message carries the 444 blessing code. 4 is the number of divine order, divine protection, and angelic presence. 444 means alignment is being restored right now. If you do not ignore this call, something critical has been unfolding behind your back because you were meant to see who is real and who is only performing loyalty. A situation was allowed to develop so truth could surface without your interference. But now, the cover is about to be lifted. Exposure is near, and Archangel Michael stands as the defender of truth, ready to step in, but only if you stay spiritually awake. You were not meant to hear this later. You were meant to hear it now. Michael says there is a sudden interruption coming, either initiated by heaven or triggered by revelation. This interruption will feel uncomfortable at first, because it breaks familiarity. But what it breaks is what was slowly breaking you. Routine made you predictable. Predictability made you vulnerable. So heaven disrupts patterns before damage spreads. Pay attention to the next signs within the next short cycle of time. A message, a comment, a delayed response, a sudden silence. These are not small things. These are indicators. Archangel Michael is sharpening your discernment as you listen. You are being repositioned from passive observer to protected participant. Do not confront yet. Do not announce what you sense. Silence is your shield in this moment. Heaven is handling what you could never handle alone. There is a reason you were told to watch this now. Timing matters more than understanding. And hear this clearly. Beloved child, you are not late. You are right on time, but only because you responded when heaven knocked. The 444 blessing code is not just a number. It is a seal of angelic supervision. Michael says he has been standing at the edge of your situation longer than you realize, preventing things you never saw, redirecting harm you never felt, fighting battles you never knew existed. But now awareness is required. Participation is required. Alignment is required. Do not brush this off as another video. Do not let routine pull you back too quickly. Something is about to surface, and when it does, you will remember this moment. You will remember that you were warned, not with fear, but with authority and protection. Stay calm. Stay alert. Stay open. Because what is unfolding behind your back was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to expose, correct, and elevate you. Archangel Michael is not done speaking. Beloved soul, take a deep breath and lean in, because what is being revealed now goes deeper than surface-level disruption. Archangel Michael says the interruption you are experiencing is not just external, it is internal. Heaven is interrupting the way you have been thinking, the conclusions you have been drawing, and the assumptions you quietly accepted as truth. This is not punishment. This is precision. For a long time, you have been operating on incomplete information. You made decisions based on what you could see, but not on what was hidden. And the hidden layer is exactly where the critical unfolding has been taking place. Michael says there were spiritual permissions that expired recently, and because they expired, movements that were once blocked are now accelerating. That is why everything suddenly feels fast, intense, and slightly overwhelming. Do not misinterpret the pressure. Pressure does not always mean danger. Sometimes pressure is simply the sound of heaven rearranging timelines. There is something important you must understand right now. The reason your routine had to be interrupted is because routine creates spiritual autopilot. Autopilot keeps you functioning, but it stops you from discerning. And discernment is the weapon Archangel Michael is restoring in you at this very moment. You are being retrained to notice details again. Tone shifts, attitude changes, delays that do not make sense, sudden kindness that feels forced, silence that speaks louder than words. Michael says someone around you assumed you would remain unaware. They counted on your patience becoming passivity. They believed your kindness meant blindness, but they underestimated the angels assigned to you. The 444 blessing code is active because this is a stabilization phase. Things that felt shaky will soon become firm. Things that felt confusing will soon make sense. But before clarity arrives, there must be contrast. Before peace settles in, truth must surface. And truth, when it surfaces, does not whisper. It interrupts. You may notice sudden memories resurfacing. Old conversations replaying in your mind. Moments that once felt small now suddenly feel significant. That is not regret. That is revelation. Heaven is connecting dots for you. Michael is saying, look again. This time with light. Do not rush to fix anything yet. Do not try to control outcomes. Control is not your assignment right now. Awareness is. The moment you become too active, you disrupt what heaven is exposing naturally. Stillness is not weakness in this season. Stillness is strategy. Now hear this clearly because this part is crucial. If this message is resonating with you, if you feel that inner confirmation rising, this is your moment to engage, not just spiritually, but practically. Take a second to show your agreement. Like this message, because it signals alignment. Share it with someone who has been feeling unexplained pressure because they may be standing in the same narrow window. Leave a comment, even if it is just a simple word, because expression seals awareness. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do it now, because these messages are not random drops. They are part of a larger sequence meant to keep you spiritually alert. Here is also strength in community. When you support this space, when you join the membership, you are placing yourself in an environment where discernment is sharpened regularly. Hype this message not for attention, but for impact. Someone else's breakthrough may be waiting on your obedience to share. Archangel Michael says there is a turning point approaching, and it will arrive quietly. No dramatic announcement, no loud warning, just a subtle shift where you suddenly realize you see clearly. And when that moment arrives, you will need to remember what you were shown here, so you do not second-guess yourself. Be mindful of emotional triggers in the coming hours. If something provokes a strong reaction, pause. That reaction is a signal. Michael is teaching you how to respond instead of react. Reaction drains power. Response multiplies it. You are not being rushed, but you are being invited to stay present. Do not drift back into distraction too quickly. The next layer of this message builds directly on what you are sensing now. And trust me, what is about to be revealed next connects the interruption, the hidden unfolding, and the blessing code in a way you do not expect. Hold on, because this is where everything starts to make sense. My chosen one, there is a weight to this moment, and it is not meant to crush you, it is meant to anchor you. Archangel Michael says now that your awareness hath been stirred, heaven is shifting from interruption to instruction. What you are sensing is not confusion, it is recalibration. Your spirit is adjusting to a higher level of clarity, and clarity often feels uncomfortable before it feels peaceful. There is a reason the message had to unfold in stages. If everything had been revealed at once, your emotions would have tried to outrun your discernment. Michael says your heart is strong, but your mind needed preparation. That is why the routine was interrupted first. That is why the hidden movement was ended at before being named. Heaven moves in order, and order protects you from overwhelm. Something important is happening behind your back, but now it is no longer completely behind you. The veil is thinning. Conversations that were once hidden are losing power. Intentions that were masked are becoming visible through patterns, not words. Watch the patterns. People reveal more through consistency than confession. Michael is sharpening your ability to read what is not said. You may soon notice a subtle change in someone's behavior toward you. Not necessarily negative, but different. Less confident. More guided. That is not coincidence. That is the effect of exposure approaching. When light gets close, shadows shift. Do not take this personally. This is not about revenge or proving anything. This is about truth restoring balance. Archangel Michael says there was an agreement made about you in the spiritual realm that favored protection over explanation. That means you were shielded even when you did not understand why certain things felt delayed or blocked. What you thought were setbacks were actually divine interruptions preventing deeper harm. Now that the threat has weakened, clarity is being released. This is where the 444 blessing code moves from alert to activation. 4 represents foundation. 444 means a foundation being reinforced on all sides. Your faith, your discernment, your emotional boundaries, and your future steps are being strengthened simultaneously. This is why you may feel tired yet peaceful, alert yet calm. That combination is rare. That combination means heaven is close. Do not underestimate the power of restraint right now. Michael says the greatest temptation in moments like this is to seek validation from others. Resist that urge. Validation will come, but it will come through events, not opinions. Let outcomes speak. Let timing reveal what words never could. There is also a warning woven gently into this message. Do not romanticize the past. When clarity comes, it is easy to look back and soften what was actually harmful. Do not do that. Honor the lessons without reopening doors. Archangel Michael guards doors as fiercely as he guards people. If a door closed quietly, let it remain closed. You are entering a season where discernment will save you time, energy, and unnecessary emotional labor. You will notice that you no longer feel the need to explain yourself as much. Silence will feel more natural. Distance will feel healthier. This is not isolation. This is maturity. Now pause here, because this part matters deeply. If this message is speaking directly to your spirit, if you feel that internal confirmation that this is not random, then seal it. Type "I receive divine clarity" in the comments if you are aligned with what is being released. Blessing code 4447 has just been activated over your awareness, your protection, and your next decisions. And as this blessing settles, hear this invitation clearly, because it flows directly from the heart of this message. I am speaking to you personally now. This work, these messages, this space exists so that souls like yours do not walk blindly through spiritual battles alone. When you give through Super Thanks, when you join the membership, or when you sow through PayPal using the link in the description, you are not supporting a channel. You are helping light reach someone who is still in the dark. The word says that when you sow, you release seed into fertile ground, and that seed does not return empty. I declare that every act of support becomes oil on your own path, making it smoother, brighter, and protected. This is not a donation. This is a prophetic response. Heaven is watching who responds when truth interrupts routine. Do it now. Release your seed. Step into alignment. And may Archangel Michael stand guard over every giver, multiplying discernment, peace, and favor in your life. Beloved one, now that clarity has begun to settle, Archangel Michael says this is the stage where patience becomes power. Many people misunderstand this phase. They think once awareness arrives, action must immediately follow. But heaven does not move by impulse. It moves by precision. What you are in right now is a holding pattern designed to protect you while unseen adjustments finalize around you. You may feel a strange quietness in your spirit. Not emptiness, but stillness. That stillness is intentional. Noise has been reduced so you can hear subtler signals. Michael says the spiritual atmosphere around you has shifted, and because of that, your intuition is recalibrating. What once felt loud will now feel unnecessary. What once felt urgent will now feel optional. This is discernment maturing. Behind the scenes, something that once had influence over your situation is losing authority. Not through confrontation, not through exposure yet, but through weakening. Power is being withdrawn quietly. Think of it like roots drying up beneath the surface. From above, nothing seems different. But below, the structure is no longer supported. This is why you were told to wait. Acting too early would have wasted energy on something already collapsing. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that delays right now are not denials. If responses are slower than usual, if plans seem paused, if people appear indecisive, that is not stagnation. That is divine buffering. Heaven is slowing things down so outcomes land correctly instead of chaotically. Rushed clarity often creates new confusion. Ordered clarity creates peace. You are also being protected from over-explaining yourself. There will be moments where you feel the urge to clarify, defend, or justify your position. Resist that urge. Michael says truth does not need panic to survive. When something is real, it holds weight without effort. Silence in this phase is not avoidance. It is authority. Pay attention to how your body responds to certain people or environments in the coming days. Your spirit will speak through comfort or discomfort before your mind catches up. If something suddenly feels heavy without reason, trust that signal. If something feels lighter even when it does not make logical sense, trust that too. Your discernment is becoming embodied, not just intellectual. There is also a healing element unfolding now. You are realizing that some of the pressure you carried was never yours to hold. You assumed responsibility for things that were not assigned to you. Michael says release that burden. Responsibility without authority leads to exhaustion. Heaven never asks you to carry what you were not given power to change. This is a crucial reset point. If you try to reinsert yourself into old emotional patterns, you will feel immediate resistance. That resistance is not rejection, it is redirection. The path behind you no longer fits the version of you that is emerging. Forcing yourself back into it will only create friction. Archangel Michael also speaks about boundaries in this phase. Not walls, but clarity. You will naturally stop engaging in conversations that drain you. You will feel less inclined to rescue, fix, or mediate situations that consistently pull you off balance. This is not coldness. This is wisdom. Love without boundaries eventually becomes resentment. Heaven is teaching you sustainable compassion. Something else is happening quietly. Your prayers are shifting. You may notice you are no longer asking the same things you used to ask. Your requests are becoming simpler, more focused, more aligned with peace rather than control. That is growth. That is evidence that alignment is taking root. Do not be surprised if someone from the past reaches out during this period. This does not always mean reconciliation. Sometimes it is closure arriving late. Sometimes it is confirmation that you have outgrown a dynamic. Receive the interaction without reopening doors that were closed for a reason. Michael guards timing, and mistimed access can undo progress. This phase may feel uneventful on the surface, but it is one of the most important transitions in the entire sequence. Foundations are being reinforced. Weak attachments are loosening. False urgency is dissolving. When movement resumes, it will be clean, decisive, and undeniable. Stay present. Stay grounded. Stay observant. What comes next will not require force. It will require recognition. And you will recognize it because you have been prepared quietly, patiently, and thoroughly. Beloved child, Archangel Michael speaks now of alignment turning into momentum. The stillness you were held in was never meant to be permanent. It was a chamber of preparation. And now movement begins, not rushed, not chaotic, but deliberate and irreversible. What shifts next will feel subtle at first, but its impact will echo far beyond this moment. You may notice that your tolerance for confusion has diminished. Things that once felt acceptable now feel misaligned. Conversations that lacked depth now feel draining. Situations that relied on uncertainty now feel unstable. This is not impatience. This is discernment sharpening into direction. Michael says when clarity matures, it naturally demands motion. There is a decision point approaching, but it will not arrive with a loud announcement. It will arrive disguised as a simple choice. A yes or a no. A step forward or a pause. A response or silence. Do not underestimate small decisions in this season. Small choices now are gates to larger outcomes later. Heaven watches what you choose when the stakes appear low. Behind the scenes, the dynamic that once operated in secrecy is now exposed to light, even if you do not see it yet. Exposure does not always mean public revelation. Sometimes it means loss of influence. Sometimes it means plans falling apart without explanation. Sometimes it means people distancing themselves because the leverage they thought they had is gone. Michael says you do not need to witness the collapse to benefit from it. Your role is not to monitor what is falling apart. Your role is to step into what is opening. And something is opening. It may appear as an invitation, an idea, a reconnection, or an unexpected opportunity. Do not dismiss it because it feels unfamiliar. Familiarity is not always safety. Growth often arrives wearing the disguise of discomfort. Archangel Michael is emphasizing courage in this phase. Not reckless courage, but grounded courage. The kind that moves even when certainty is not complete. Faith does not require full visibility. It requires alignment. And you are more aligned now than you have been in a long time. You might feel moments of emotional release, sudden relief, quiet tears, deep breaths that feel cleansing. That is stored tension leaving your system. Your body is catching up with your spirit. Allow it. Do not analyze it away. Healing is not always logical. Sometimes it is simply necessary. There is also a warning here. Do not rush to explain your growth to those who benefited from your confusion. You owe no one a justification for your clarity. Michael says when you outgrow a space, your absence becomes the explanation. Let that be enough. As movement resumes, pay attention to how peace accompanies certain steps, even when they stretch you. Peace is your confirmation. Anxiety that pushes you forward is not from heaven. Peace that invites you forward is. Learn the difference. It will save you from missteps. You are also being reminded to steward your energy carefully. Momentum does not mean overextension. Just because you can do more does not mean you should. Choose depth over quantity. Impact over approval. Michael says this season rewards focus. There will be moments where you look back and realize how close you were to missing this shift. Not because you were careless, but because routine almost numbed you again. Let gratitude rise, not regret. Gratitude anchors blessings. Regret weakens them. Something is about to confirm everything you have sensed. It may come through a conversation, a message, or an outcome you did not expect to resolve so cleanly. When it happens, you will feel a quiet certainty rather than excitement. That is how you will know it is real. This phase is about forward motion without noise, progress without announcement, confidence without performance. You are learning to move from internal authority rather than external validation. Stay attentive. Stay humble. Stay responsive. Because what began as an interruption is becoming a redirection. And where you are being led next is not just safer. It is truer to who you were always meant to be. My beloved one, Archangel Michael speaks with firmness now, because this phase requires engagement, not observation. What has been forming quietly is ready to interact with your daily life. This is where alignment meets responsibility. Heaven has done the unseen work, but now your awareness must translate into intentional living. You may notice that situations are beginning to test what you have learned. Old triggers may try to resurface, not because they still control you, but to measure whether they still have access. Michael says this is not regression, it is confirmation. The same things no longer pull you the way they once did. You are responding differently, and that difference matters. There is a new sense of authority in your silence. When you choose not to engage, it is not avoidance, it is discernment. When you choose to speak, your words carry more weight because they are fewer and clearer. Heaven is teaching you economy of expression. Power is not in how much you say, but in how aligned your words are when you do speak. This stage also brings responsibility for maintenance. Blessings require stewardship. Awareness requires practice. You cannot return to old mental habits and expect new outcomes to remain stable. Michael says guard your inputs. What you listen to, what you dwell on, what conversations you entertain. These are not small things anymore. They shape the atmosphere you carry. You may feel a renewed sense of purpose stirring. Not loud ambition, but quiet direction. And knowing of what matters and what no longer deserves your energy. This clarity is precious. Protect it. You not dilute it by overcommitting or over-explaining. Let your life speak for itself. There will be people who notice the change in you but can't name it. They may respond with curiosity, admiration, or discomfort. None of these reactions are your responsibility to manage. Michael says let people process you at their own pace. Your task is not to be understood by everyone. It is to be aligned with truth. Now pause here, because this moment calls for participation. If this message is resonating, do not keep it to yourself. Like this message as a sign of agreement. Share it with someone who needs clarity in the middle of confusion. Comment to anchor what you are receiving, because expression reinforces awareness. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do it now, because these messages are part of a continuing flow meant to keep you alert and protected. Joining the membership is not just about access, it is about alignment. When you place yourself in an environment that consistently sharpens discernment, you grow faster and steadier. Hype this message because someone else's breakthrough may be tied to your willingness to spread light. Archangel Michael also offers a gentle correction here. Do not confuse rest with retreat. You are allowed to rest, but do not withdraw from what you are being called into. Balance is key. Engagement without exhaustion. Presence without pressure. There is a sense of timing becoming clear now. You may suddenly know when to act and when to wait without overthinking it. That is discernment becoming instinct. Trust in. You have earned this clarity through obedience to the interruption. Be mindful of impatience disguised as motivation. If something pushes you aggressively, pause. Heaven does not rush you through alignment. It leads you with peace. Urgency from heaven feels calm. Urgency from fear feels loud. You are stepping into a phase where consistency will matter more than intensity. Small aligned actions repeated over time will create stability. Michael says do not look for dramatic signs every day. Look for steady peace. That is your confirmation. Hold on here, because what is coming next will reveal why this interruption had to happen exactly when it did. The timing was not random, and the reason will soon become undeniable. Stay with this message, because the next layer connects your past patience with your future authority. Beloved child, Archangel Michael says this phase is about recognition, recognizing what has shifted, what no longer fits, and what is now asking for your consent to move forward. Many people miss this stage because they are still waiting for something dramatic to happen. But the most powerful changes often arrive quietly, wrapped in clarity rather than chaos. You may notice that your reactions to familiar situations have changed. Things that once demanded emotional effort now feel neutral. People who once had the ability to sway your mood no longer hold that power. This is not emotional numbness. This is emotional sovereignty. Michael says you are no longer outsourcing your peace. There is a subtle separation happening now. Not a loud exit, not a dramatic cutoff, but a gentle drifting apart from what no longer aligns. You are not being pushed away from people or paths. You are being pulled toward truth. Separation that comes from alignment does not hurt the way forced endings do. It feels clean, even if it feels unfamiliar. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that you are now walking in a protected awareness zone. This means certain things simply will not work against you the way they once might have. Misunderstandings will dissolve faster. Manipulation will be exposed sooner. Confusion will feel uncomfortable enough that you will not sit in it for long. This is the advantage of discernment matured through obedience. You may also begin to sense a stronger inner compass. Decisions feel clearer. Delays make sense instead of causing anxiety. You are no longer chasing reassurance because reassurance is forming internally. This is what it means to move from reactive faith to rooted faith. There is also an invitation here to forgive, not because others deserve it, but because forgiveness clears residue. Michael says forgiveness in this season is not reconciliation. It is release. You are not reopening doors. You are removing weights. Some things cannot go forward with you because they belong to an older version of you that no longer exists. Pay attention to how your environment responds to you now. Opportunities may start aligning without force. Help may come without you asking. Solutions may appear where there were once obstacles. This is not coincidence. This is alignment creating efficiency. When you stop resisting truth, life requires less effort. There may be moments where you feel a strange mix of gratitude and grief. Gratitude for clarity. Grief for how long you walked without it. Allow both emotions without judgment. Healing often carries contrast. Michael says, do not shame yourself for what you did not know before you were ready to know it. Readiness is part of timing. You are also being trained to trust peace over excitement. Excitement can be misleading. Peace is consistent. If something looks good but costs you your peace, it is not aligned. If something feels quiet but steady, it is worth exploring. This discernment will protect you from distractions disguised as opportunities. Archangel Michael emphasizes that you are not meant to explain your transformation. Those who are meant to understand will recognize it without words. Those who are not will create stories that have nothing to do with you. Let them. Your clarity does not require consensus. You may notice that your prayers are becoming more confident. Less pleading, more declaring. Less questioning, more trusting. This is not arrogance. This is intimacy with truth. When you know who is guiding you, you no longer beg for direction. You listen. This phase also prepares you for responsibility that comes with clarity. When you see more, you are accountable for how you move. You cannot pretend you do not know what you now know. But do not fear this accountability. It is paired with support. Heaven does not reveal without resourcing. Be mindful not to slip into isolation. Discernment is not meant to separate you from healthy connection. It is meant to refine it. Stay connected to what nourishes you. Withdraw only from what drains you consistently. There is a calm confidence forming in you now. Not loud. Not performative. Steady. Grounded. This is the posture that allows the next phase to unfold without resistance. What is coming next will feel like confirmation layered upon confirmation. You will not need convincing. You will simply know. Stay attentive. Stay grounded. Stay honest with yourself. Because the interruption that began this journey was not meant to disrupt your life. It was meant to return you to yourself, fully awake, fully aligned, and fully protected. Beloved soul, Archangel Michael says this is the moment where confirmation begins to solidify into certainty. What you have been sensing internally is now preparing to show itself externally. This is not coincidence, and it is not imagination. Heaven does not stir awareness without intending manifestation. The interruption you experienced earlier was the signal. This phase is the evidence. You may start noticing that situations align in your favor without you forcing them. Things that once felt delayed suddenly move forward. Conversations resolve themselves. Resistance fades. This is not because circumstances magically changed overnight, but because your positioning did. Alignment alters outcomes without noise. There is a deeper layer of protection active around you now. Michael describes it as a narrowing path. Distractions that once pulled you off course will simply no longer appeal to you. Temptations that once felt strong will feel hollow. This is not self-control through effort. This is clarity removing desire for what no longer fits. You are also stepping into a season of truth recognition. People will reveal themselves without being confronted. Intentions will surface through actions. Promises will be tested by consistency. You will not need to investigate or interrogate. Discernment will do the work quietly. When something is misaligned, you will feel it immediately. When something is right, you will feel peace even before proof arrives. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that this clarity is not meant to isolate you. It is meant to refine your connections. Some relationships will deepen because they are built on truth. Others will fade because they were built on convenience or misunderstanding. Let this happen naturally. Forced maintenance of misaligned connections drains energy meant for growth. You may also notice a shift in how you view your past. Instead of regret, you will feel understanding. Instead of shame, you will feel compassion for your earlier self. This is healing integrating with wisdom. Michael says when healing completes its work, memory loses its sting. There is also a call to remain humble in this phase. Clarity is a gift, not a trophy. Do not use what you see now to judge others. Everyone awakens in their own timing. What matters is how gently you carry what you have been shown. Authority paired with humility creates trust. Authority without humility creates isolation. And now hear this carefully. If this message is speaking to your spirit, if you feel that quiet certainty settling in your chest, then seal it now. Type "I walk in divine order" in the comments if you are receiving this alignment. Blessing code 8883 has just been released, activating stability, truth, and forward movement in your life. And as this blessing settles, allow me to speak directly to you, because this is not a pause in the message. This is an extension of it. I am speaking to the ones who understand that light must be carried forward, not hoarded. When you support this mission through super thanks, through membership, or through PayPal using the link in the description, you are not giving to a channel. You are fueling a river of truth that reaches souls who are still lost in routine and confusion. The word declares that when seed is sown in good soil, the harvest multiplies beyond expectation. I declare that every seed you release here becomes protection over your household, clarity over your decisions, and peace over your mind. This is not a casual act. It is a prophetic response to divine interruption. Do it now. Obey the nudge. Step into partnership. And may Archangel Michael stand watch over every giver, returning strength, favor, and discernment pressed down and overflowing. Now return your focus, because what follows will explain why this clarity had to arrive before the next shift. Timing is about to make sense in a way you did not expect. Do not disengage yet. This is where the pattern becomes undeniable. Beloved one, Archangel Michael says you have now entered the phase of integration. This is where everything you have received begins to settle into your daily life, not as a dramatic event, but as a new normal. Many people misunderstand the stage because it feels quieter than the earlier revelations. But quiet does not mean inactive. Quiet means stable. You may notice that you are no longer questioning yourself the way you used to. Doubt does not linger as long. When uncertainty appears, it passes through instead of settling in. This is not because challenges are gone, but because your inner foundation hath been strengthened. Michael says when the foundation is firm, storms are informational, not destructive. There is a growing sense of self-trust forming within you. Not arrogance, not independence from God, but trust in the discernment that has been sharpened through obedience. You are learning to move without constantly seeking external confirmation. This is maturity. Heaven celebrates this shift because it means you are no longer easily swayed. You may also feel less urgency to prove anything. The need to be seen, understood, or validated externally is fading. That space is being replaced with quiet confidence. Michael says confidence that comes from alignment does not announce itself. It simply moves. Pay attention to how your conversations are changing. You may find yourself listening more and speaking less. When you do speak, your words are clearer, more intentional. You are no longer filling silence out of discomfort. Silence has become a tool rather than a threat. This is a sign of authority settling in. There is also a refinement happening in your priorities. Things that once felt important now feel optional. Things that once felt optional now feel essential. This shift may surprise you. You may wonder why you suddenly care less about certain outcomes and more about inner peace. That is because your value system is being realigned with truth rather than pressure. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that this phase is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters. Overextension is no longer impressive to heaven. Alignment is. If something costs you your peace, it is too expensive, no matter how good it looks on the surface. You may notice that people respond to you differently now. Some will feel drawn to your calm. Others may feel unsettled by it. This is not because you are doing anything wrong. Light exposes. Stability hides instability. Let people respond however they need to. Your role is not to manage reactions. It is to remain anchored. There is also an increase in sensitivity to timing. You may find that you instinctively know when to speak and when to wait, when to act and when to pause. This is discernment becoming practical. Michael says timing is one of the highest forms of wisdom, and you are learning it through experience, not theory. Do not be surprised if old temptations attempt to resurface in subtle ways. Not because they still have power, but because they are checking for access. The difference now is that you recognize them quickly. What once took days to identify now takes moments. That is progress. You are also being freed from the need to rescue others. Compassion remains, but the compulsion to fix is dissolving. Michael says you are learning the difference between love and responsibility. You can care deeply without carrying what was never yours to carry. This phase may feel almost ordinary, and that is exactly the point. True transformation integrates into normal life. It does not require constant emotional intensity. It shows up as consistency, peace, and clarity in small decisions. Stay attentive, but do not strain. Stay open, but do not overanalyze. Let what has been planted take root naturally. Growth does not need supervision. It needs space. What is coming next will reintroduce engagement, but from a place of strength rather than uncertainty. You will not be stepping into it hoping it works. You will be stepping into it knowing you are ready. Remain grounded. Remain honest. Remain aligned. Because the work that began with interruption is now becoming embodiment. And when truth is embodied, it cannot be shaken. Beloved child, Archangel Michael says this is the moment where alignment turns into responsibility with impact. Up until now, much of the work hath been internal, subtle, and protective. But now, what has been built within you is meant to influence how you move outwardly. Not in loud displays, not in forced declarations, but in grounded authority that quietly shifts environments. You may notice that people begin to seek your perspective more often. They may not say it directly, but they will ask questions, linger longer in conversation, or open up in ways they did not before. This is not because you have all the answers, but because clarity attracts those who are tired of confusion. Michael says your peace is becoming an invitation. At the same time, you will feel less available for chaos. Drama will feel exhausting rather than entertaining. Arguments will feel unnecessary rather than stimulating. This is not avoidance. This is wisdom choosing rest over noise. You are learning that not every situation deserves your energy, even if it demands your attention. This phase also brings discernment around commitment. Where you place your time now matters more than ever. Overcommitting will dilute your clarity. Undercommitting out of fear will stall momentum. Balance is key. Michael says ask yourself before every yes, does this align with who I am becoming or who I used to be? The answer will guide you accurately. There may be moments where you feel a pull to step back into old roles: fixer, mediator, overgiver. Recognize this gently and release it. Those roles were survival tools, not identity markers. You no longer need them to feel valuable. Your worth is no longer tied to how much you carry for others. You are also being reminded to stay connected to truth consistently. Clarity fades when it is not maintained. That is why environments matter. What you listen to, what you revisit, what you allow to influence your thinking, all of it shapes how steady you remain. Michael says do not drift into spiritual isolation. Growth thrives in aligned spaces. Now pause here, because this is a moment of engagement. If this message is strengthening you, take a second to respond. Like this message to affirm what you are receiving. Share it with someone who is navigating confusion or transition, because light multiplies when it moves. Leave a comment, even a simple one, because expression anchors awareness. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do it now. These messages are not isolated moments. They are part of a continuous flow meant to keep you grounded and alert. Joining the membership places you in a consistent stream of clarity, where discernment is sharpened regularly. Hype this message not for attention, but for alignment. Someone else's breakthrough may depend on your willingness to amplify truth. There is also a retention of focus required now. Distraction will try to re-enter subtly. Not through obvious chaos, but through busyness, overthinking, or unnecessary urgency. Be mindful. If something pulls you away from peace without offering clarity, it is not a line. Trust that instinct. It has been trained for this moment. Archangel Michael emphasizes that this phase is about embodiment. You are no longer learning discernment. You are living it. That means consistency matters more than intensity. Daily choices shape long-term outcomes. Do not underestimate the power of small aligned actions repeated faithfully. You may also feel a renewed sense of confidence when making decisions. Not reckless confidence, but quiet assurance. This is not because everything is guaranteed to work out perfectly, but because you trust your ability to respond wisely no matter what unfolds. That trust is priceless. There will be opportunities soon that test this clarity. They will look appealing on the surface but require you to compromise peace or boundaries. These are not blessings. They are discernment checks. You will recognize them quickly. Choose alignment over appearance. Stay with this message, because what is coming next explains why these tests appear now and how they serve your long-term stability. Trust me, this next layer connects everything you have experienced so far in a way that brings deep reassurance. Hold on. This is where confidence becomes unshakable. Beloved one, Archangel Michael says this is the phase where assurance replaces questioning. You are no longer standing at the edge wondering if alignment is real. You are standing within it, learning how to remain steady as life continues to move around you. This is important, because true stability is not proven in silence, but in motion. You may notice that challenges still appear, but they feel different now. They no longer shake your identity. They no longer trigger the same emotional spiral. Instead, they feel like information, signals guiding you toward wiser responses. Michael says when fear is removed from challenges, they lose their power to intimidate. What remains is instruction. There is a strengthening of trust happening between you and your own discernment. You are no longer second-guessing every decision. When you choose with peace. When you wait without anxiety. This balance is rare, and it is evidence of deep internal alignment. Heaven honors this posture because it reflects maturity, not perfection. You may also notice that your pace has changed. You are not rushing to keep up with others. You are not measuring your progress against external timelines. Your rhythm is becoming intentional. Michael says, when your pace aligns with truth, you stop arriving late to your own life. There is also a release happening in how you view outcomes. You are no longer obsessed with controlling results. You are focused on obedience, alignment, and integrity. This shift frees enormous energy. When you stop forcing outcomes, you gain clarity about which ones are truly meant for you. Archangel Michael wants you to recognize that this calm confidence you are carrying is not temporary. It is not dependent on circumstances staying favorable. It is rooted. That means even when uncertainty appears, your center remains stable. You bend, but you do not break. You may find yourself less reactive to opinions now. Praise does not inflate you. Criticism does not deflate you. This emotional neutrality is not indifference. It is security. When you know who you are and where you are being guided, external noise loses its authority. There is also a deepening of spiritual perception. You may notice that you sense outcomes before they happen. Not in detail, but in essence. You know when something will resolve. You know when something will fade. This knowing does not make you passive. It makes you prepared. Michael says preparation is one of the highest forms of protection. You are not being surprised the way you once were. Even when something unexpected happens, you recover faster. You adapt without panic. This is resilience formed through alignment. Be mindful not to drift into complacency. Stability does not mean stagnation. Continue nurturing your awareness. Continue choosing peace attention. Continue honoring boundaries. These are not temporary disciplines. They are part of who you are becoming. You may also notice a shift in how you approach prayer or reflection. It feels more conversational, less desperate. More listening, less striving. This is intimacy growing. When trust is established, communication simplifies. There is a sense of readiness forming now. Not urgency, not pressure, but readiness. You are prepared for what is next, even if you do not yet know what it looks like. Michael says readiness attracts opportunity naturally. You do not have to chase what is aligned. It finds you. Old fears may attempt to resurface as a final test. Not loudly, but subtly. A thought here. A memory there. Do not engage them. You do not need to fight what no longer has authority. Simply acknowledge the difference between who you were and who you are now. This phase is about honoring your growth without rushing it. Let stability settle fully. Let confidence root deeply. The next movement will require you to stand firmly, not rush forward. Stay present. Stay grounded. Stay aligned. Because the final stage of this journey is not about awareness or clarity anymore. It is about embodiment and blessing. And when that unfolds, you will recognize it immediately. Not because it surprises you, but because it feels right. Remain here. The completion is near, and it carries a release you have been prepared to receive. My beloved child, Archangel Michael says this is the completion point, the moment where everything that was interrupted, revealed, tested, refined, and stabilized finally converges into release. This is not an ending. It is a sealing. What heaven began by interrupting your routine now settles as a new standard for how you live, choose, and discern. You are no longer standing in anticipation. You are standing in readiness fulfilled. The urgency you felt at the beginning was never meant to create fear. It was meant to wake you up before alignment locked in permanently. Now that alignment has taken root, the pressure lifts. What remains is a void paired with peace. You may notice that you no longer feel the need to look back. Not because the past has no meaning, but because it no longer has pull. Reflection has turned into wisdom, not longing. Michael says when lessons are integrated fully, memory loses its power to disturb. This is the stage where trust becomes effortless. You trust your discernment without anxiety. You trust timing without frustration. You trust silence without suspicion. This does not mean everything will always be easy, but it does mean you are no longer easily shaken. Your center holds. There is also a sense of release from old vigilance. You are no longer scanning constantly for what might go wrong. You are present. You are grounded. You are aware without being tense. This is one of the greatest signs of healing. Michael says peace that remains even when nothing dramatic is happening is evidence of deep alignment. The critical unfolding that once happened behind your back has now lost its relevance. Whatever was meant to be exposed has either been revealed or rendered powerless. You do not need the full story to move forward. Closure is not always informational. Sometimes it is positional. And you have moved. You may feel a renewed sense of purpose now, but it is quieter than before. Less about proving, less about chasing, more about being. Purpose that comes from alignment does not shout. It flows naturally into daily life. Archangel Michael emphasizes that your discernment is now portable. You do not lose it when circumstances change. You carry it into every environment, every decision, every relationship. This is why routine can never blind you the same way again. Awareness hath been integrated. There is also a blessing of sustainability being released now. You are no longer running on spiritual adrenaline. You are operating from stability. This means what you build next can last. What you commit to can be maintained. What you step into will not drain you the way past seasons did. Before this message closes, seal what has been released. Type "I am sealed in truth" in the comments if you receive this completion. Blessing code 1212 is now activated, sealing discernment, protection, and peace over your life and over every decision that follows. And now hear this final word, because it is not separate from the message. It is part of the assignment. I am speaking directly to you who stayed through this entire journey. This work exists so awakenings like yours do not stop with one soul. When you support through Super Thanks, when you step into membership, or when you sow through PayPal using the link in the description, you are placing seed into a living stream that carries light to those still trapped in routine and confusion. The word declares that those who water others will themselves be watered. I declare that every act of support you release becomes divine return, clarity in moments of decision, peace in moments of pressure, and protection where you never saw danger coming. This is not optional obedience. This is a prophetic act of partnership. Do it now. Respond while the seal is fresh. Stand with this mission. And may Archangel Michael remain stationed over your life, guarding what has been established, defending what has been aligned, and leading you forward in unwavering truth. The interruption is complete. The blessing is sealed. Walk forward.